On the 11th of January this year, I lost my beloved father. And 2 days after his death, we buried him in a local parish cemetery. Now, in the state of Kerala, Kerala is one of the 29 states in India, and also a state with a large Christian population. In this state, common Catholic cemeteries are rare. This is because from the ancient times, each parish maintained their own private cemeteries. Now, this has implications for the Christians who live there. This means that in many churches with large populations, the cemetery space is limited, and it allows for families to have a family grave for a limited amount of time. So families in smaller parishes may have the grave for 7 years. But in the case of my father, we will have the grave only for 3 years. And after 3 years, my father's remains will be ritually and very respectfully removed and placed in a common vault. After 3 years, when we have to remember our father and look for him, we will have to look for him elsewhere. We better believe in the resurrection. We better believe in Easter. Because after 3 years, we will be looking for our father not in the grave, but elsewhere with God in heaven. After all, didn't something similar happen at that first resurrection? At that first Easter, there was nothing in the grave. In fact, on that Easter morning, the tomb was irrelevant. In fact, there was no grave except the stone that was removed. Ever since that first resurrection, dear friends, no grave is a permanent grave. Since that first resurrection, we must all look for our loved ones elsewhere. Isn't this true? That our destiny is not the grave. Our destiny is with God in heaven. We are a resurrection people. We are an Easter people. From the Christian perspective, it's not just after our death that we embrace the resurrection. In fact, we live like we have died. It's very simple. At our baptism, we believe that we died to sin and rose with him to new life. And that is why the immersion into the water is considered a dying, and the rising from the water a rising to new life. And then the minister at our baptism gives us our paschal candle and says to us, receive the light of Christ. Folks, we are a people of the light. We live like we have already died. In other words, today we are witnesses to the resurrection of Jesus, because we are a people who have died to sin and risen to new life. This world should see in us a people who have died to those things that Jesus put to death on the cross. Sin and selfishness, hypocrisy and self-righteousness, prejudice and hate, pride and arrogance. On the contrary, we live the new life of the resurrection, a life of love and mercy, peace and reconciliation, compassion and goodness, holiness and virtue, humility and righteousness. Let us live like we have died. Let us live like we are a resurrection people. I want to wish each one of you a very blessed Easter.